somebody asked me about my triggers, and so I thought I would do a video on that. So I don't really remember being too triggered except for by my grandpa being like with my sister under the blanket or something like that before I was married. But once I was, well, seriously dating and having my boyfriends kind of take liberties with me, triggered me, obviously. After marriage, it could be just something as simple as a smell, not necessarily a bad body odor smell, but like the smell of pheromones or something. Sometimes it was just the hair on his back making me think that he was like an old man. All the time it's pain. I still struggle with that sometimes. The triggers aren't as intense as they were at the beginning of our marriage, but if there's any pain involved, I still sometimes have to reset myself and remember where I am and remember who I'm with. I often got triggered by my kids making fun of our sexuality if they had heard something or if they, thought something even was going on and made a comment. I would burst into tears. I was often triggered by the things that I thought were wrong. I just had conflict, I guess, in my head about sometimes the silliest of things, like oral sex, for example, felt like it was so wrong and so bad. And so I had the good girl syndrome really, really bad. And then I have an intense radar for selfishness. And so I think men in general probably have this problem, but my husband is very much an extreme box thinker. And we all know that women think in relation to everything, kind of seeing the whole picture, kind of having heartstrings tied to a whole bunch of different things. This leads to this, leads to this. This reminds me of this and reminds me of this and reminds me of this. And it helps us to be connected. It helps us to validate each other. It helps us to love and support our children and our friends and our neighbors and families. And men, they think in boxes. They put things in compartments so that they can deal with hard things like the daily grind of work, or especially going to war. And my husband is a very extreme box thinker. And so he'll even put our sexual relationship in boxes. This is the foreplay box, and this is what we do step by step. And, this is her turn, and this is my turn. And anyways, sometimes, especially at the beginning, a lot of selfishness would come through in that. And sometimes he compartmentalized our sexual relationship with the porn he had watched. And anyways, that was always very, very triggering for me. It triggers me a lot when people lie. I really can't stand that. I never consciously lie about anything. There's times that I've had little mistakes in what I've said, and it has just driven me crazy because I absolutely hate lies. And so I get very triggered by that. Then I think that there had been a lot of unconscious triggers over the years that have been adding up to teaching me a lesson, but at the time I might not have known exactly what it was. Sometimes those seemed kind of ridiculous to me. especially as I was younger, I was always pretty hard on myself for being not Christ-like, not I don't know, just angry. If I thought that I was, I don't know, like too angry or too judgmental or, you know, too mean, if I called my husband a name because it just felt like he just raped me or something, then I'd be triggered by that even. So nowadays, I'm still, like I said, the pain and the selfishness still. I've gotten better with selfishness, but it's more specific to my spouse now. And he gets, his defense mechanism is to put a wall up and block his heart off. People not standing up for me, especially my husband, again, that triggers me. He's been working on that more, but in the past, he's always been afraid and has just kind of walled me out to protect himself in that, and that has been a trigger for me. So respond with your own triggers if you want to, and we can have a conversation. Maybe you relate to some of these triggers, and maybe you have some entirely different ones that you want to talk about.